Hi, and welcome to video 3, How to Get Involved. I'm Dr. Sandra Mathers from the University of Oxford, and I'm one of the co-authors of the Talking Time programme. Now, if you've reached us on video 3, then I hope you've already watched videos 1 and 2 on the website. If you haven't, you might want to do that before you watch this video on how to get involved in the research. Video 1 is about the Talking Time programme, and that's the one that you really need to watch. That's an important one to watch before you get here. Video 2 gives you a bit of information on what other settings think of Talking Time, so hearing from the people that have put it into practice. So what are we doing? Well, this research study is designed to evaluate the Talking Time programme to really find out if it makes a difference for changing staff practice and improving children's language skills. We're focusing on areas of disadvantage and collaborating with the Education Endowment Foundation and a range of early years stronger practice hubs who are funding the work, and the National Institute for Economic and Social Research, who are the evaluators. And as part of that research study, we'll be offering subsidised professional development and access to the Talking Time materials and programmes to nursery settings, and then supporting nursery settings to implement the Talking Time programme, to develop children's oral language skills, but also to really build capacity for supporting oral language in the longer term through professional development. And we're doing that by running a research trial in nursery settings, so focusing on children aged 3 to 4 years. We'll want to get 130 settings involved altogether. And during the research study period, half of those settings will take part in Talking Time free of charge, the intervention group, and half of the settings carry on with business as usual, the control group. And that allows us to really measure the impact of Talking Time compared to usual practice and find out if it makes a difference. And then once the research phase is complete, settings in the control group have access then to the programme and the materials and the professional development. So everybody that joins the study will access the programme, but at different times, depending on which group you end up in. So this shows the main timeline and the research elements. So we are in the registration phase at the moment, spring and summer 2024. In the autumn, for settings that get involved in the research study, that's when the baseline research data collection would take place, and we'd really need your help to facilitate that. So handing out consent forms to parents of your 3 and 4-year-old children, for example, and a researcher would also come and visit your setting at that point and carry out some short language assessments with the children whose parents have given consent. So they're about 15 minutes, they're fun games and activities, the children enjoy taking part, and you wouldn't need to do any of that data collection. It's really a case of enabling the researcher to come in and complete those tests with your children. But what we would want the Talking Time leads to do is to carry out 2 audio recordings of shared reading. So just short sessions will give you the books and materials and sharing a book with a small group of children. We'll do that at the beginning and the end, and that allows us really to see whether we've been successful in helping you to, and all of the staff participating, to improve practice. So it's all anonymous, you'd never be identified. We do the analysis at the group level, but that really helps us to be able to track the impact of the professional development that we're providing on practice to see if we've made a difference. Then at about the half-term point, maybe just after half-term, that's when the randomisation would happen, and that is a random allocation. So we don't do that. The evaluators will complete the random allocation, and it means that half of the settings would be allocated to the intervention group and half to the control. So you've got a 50-50 chance of ending up in one group or the other. If you are in the intervention group, then late in the autumn term, at some point, probably November, you would meet your mentor. So you'd have what we call it a welcome visit. That's really for orientation to the programme. And then in January of 2025, that's when you would start the professional development and start with delivery of the Talking Time programme. And that runs till around June of 2025. If you are in the control group, then you just carry on with business as usual during that period. Then at the end of the summer term in 2025, that research data collection happens again. So a researcher would come back to your setting and carry out language assessments again with the children. And then we'd ask the Talking Time leads to complete those 2 short audio recordings of shared reading again. And that allows us to look at the impact over time and to really compare the progress in practice and the progress in the children's outcomes between the intervention and the control group to see what difference Talking Time has made. So that's a really important part of what we're doing here. That research is going to be hugely valuable in finding out really what works best to support early language. And this is actually one of the first trials of a really flexible intervention like this. So this research information really matters, and we really need your help with this. Then in the autumn of 2025, if you were in the control group during the research study period, that's when you can access the Talking Time programme and the professional development. So everybody accesses the programme, but just at different times, depending on which group you're in. So to make all of that happen, and as a thank you really for taking part, this is what you would receive. So if you're in the intervention group, then you'd obviously get the programme and the professional development support from your mentor at no cost. You also get a bit of a contribution towards cover costs, so £7.50 per hour per person for attending each of those professional development activities, and £400 for completing the research activities. If you're in the control group, then you also receive that £400 for contributing to the research, and you receive another £1,000 for engaging in the project. And you can use those payments then to buy the programme and the professional development when those research activities are complete. And remember, you have the advantage, so you have to wait a bit longer for the programme, but you get the advantage of all of our learning during the research study period, because we'd of course be refining the intervention programme based on all that learning to make it even better. And we'd really love to work with you at that point. So which settings can take part then? We're looking for a lot of settings, 130, and we're recruiting in areas of the Northwest, Yorkshire and the Humber, East of England, West Midlands and London. So I won't read through all of the local authority areas there, but there are certain local authorities that we're targeting. And if you're in one of those hub areas, but in a different local authority area and interested in taking part, then let us know. If we can create a little cluster of settings, it might be that we can run in your area as well. So group settings are eligible. So you can take part if you're a nursery school, a school with a nursery class, or a private voluntary or independent group setting. And we'd need you to have 10 or more children in the age bracket that we're interested in, so age 3 to 4. And those children would need to be attending for at least 15 hours per week. So we really welcome all applications, but where demand is high, then we're going to be prioritising in geographically clustered areas. And that's really so that we can build strong communities of practice among settings within an area. So the work carries on after we finish the research study. We'll also prioritise settings that are serving a higher proportion of families eligible for the EYPP, and those that aren't using another intervention programme which might interfere with the delivery of Talking Time. So if you'd like some more information or you've got questions, then there are various places that you can go. You can visit the website. If you're watching this video, you might be on our website already, but if not, then there's a QR code on the right here. And I'd really recommend that you read, as a follow-up to this video, the detailed information sheet on our website. That sets out everything that I've said, but gives you a little bit more information. Or you can get in touch. So Liz Hewitt, in the picture here, she's our trial manager, and you can contact her at the address shown here. So next steps. So now you've taken part either in a webinar or you've watched all 3 videos on our website, you can scan the relevant QR code to submit your response and let us know what you'd like to do next. So what you do will depend on what you've done so far. If you've already filled in an expression of interest form for Talking Time, and now that you've heard a bit more information, you think, yep, that's going to work for my setting. We'd really love to be involved and we'd like to confirm our application and progress to the next stage. That's the green QR code, confirm agreement to progress. If you've decided now you've heard more that this might not work for your setting, so maybe you're not eligible, for example, or you think that this won't work for you in the coming year, then that's the red QR code, withdraw expression of interest. If you haven't filled in an expression of interest form at all yet, so you haven't been in touch with us to let us know that you'd like to be involved, then you can submit an expression of interest and confirm agreement to progress in the same form, just to make things easier. So that's the blue QR code, and that's expression of interest after webinar or after videos, and agreement to progress. So choose your QR code and decide what you'd like to let us know. And we'd love to hear from you. And we very much hope that it's agreement to progress. Thanks very much for listening, and get in touch if you've got any further questions. I'll just pop the slide back on to the email information page here and leave it there. So get in touch if you've got questions. And thanks very much for listening.